So we are waiting for the New Hawk First Nation press conference that started just a couple minutes ago. We're about to get that underway very soon. And following that press conference, we're expecting to hear from the province. We are expecting a press conference with Tamara Davidson, the Minister of Environment and Parks. She's also the MLA for Hatigwai, and Kevin Van Damme of the BC Conservation Officer Service. That will be at 2 p.m. But let's talk a little bit more about what actually happened. Joining me in studio is our Jessica Chung, who's been covering this incident all morning. So Jessica, thanks for being here.
Yes, no problem.
So let's start just recapping. Tell us about what happened with the attack and what we know so far.
Yeah, a shocking incident. As you said, this happened yesterday afternoon, just after 1:30 on a trail in Bella Coola, which is a remote community in BC's Central Coast. Now, a group of around 20 students and teachers with kids in grade 4 and grade 5 were out on a short afternoon field trip on a trail that was near actually Bella Coola River, which is located right behind the Exalta School, which is the elementary school that these kids attended. Now, the BC Conservation Officer Service says the group was having lunch by the river when a grizzly bear emerged from the forest and attacked. Now, multiple teachers came and intervened using bear spray and bear banger and successfully drove the bear away.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that, Jessica. And this morning we did hear from BC Conservation Officer Service, and they put out a video statement via Facebook. So I believe we've got that piece of tape. So why don't we take a listen to what Kevin Van Damme, he is a BC Conservation Officer, had to say this morning.
On Thursday, November 20th, the New Hawk Nation reported a grizzly bear attack involving a school group, resulting in injuries to 3 children and 1 adult. The group had stopped along a trail near the community when a grizzly bear emerged from the forest and attacked. Teachers successfully repelled the bear using pepper spray and a bear banger. CRS responded with RCMP to secure the area and assist emergency medical services. The injured individuals were treated at Bella Coola Hospital and are being transported to Vancouver for further care. Additional conservation officers arrived in Bella Coola last night to investigate the incident. The bear has not been located at this time. Preliminary information suggests the bear may have been previously injured. Captured mitigation techniques have been set to capture and evaluate the bear in question. We recognize this incident is distressing for the community. We are in close contact with the New Hawk Nation as our investigation continues. We thank them for the collaborative efforts to ensure community awareness and shared safety information. The public has been asked to avoid the 4-mile area and remain indoors until further notice. Updates will be provided as soon as the area is confirmed safe. Our thoughts are with the victim and their families. We wish them full and speedy recovery. Anyone with information of bear sightings in Bella Coola should contact the RAP line at 1-877-952-7277.
So you were just watching and listening to a video statement from the BC Conservation Officer Service. That was Officer Kevin Van Damme giving an update on the grizzly bear attack that happened in Bella Coola yesterday that left 4 people seriously injured, 2 of them in critical condition, among them school-age children in grades 4 and 5. We are just trying to get some signal out of Bella Coola. There is a press conference underway with the New Hawk First Nation. They are speaking and giving an update on what happened yesterday. In the meantime, our Jessica Chung is here with me in studio, and she has been following the story all morning. We've been covering it on CBC News BC. So Jessica, 11 people are injured, 4 hospitalized. You know, what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so 4 people in hospital. The Conservation Service has confirmed that 3 of them are children, 1 is an adult. Those 4 people were rushed to hospital when the incident occurred. Now, 2 of them are critically injured. 2 others are in serious condition. It's not clear right now who has critical injuries, who has serious injuries in terms of if they're children or if they're adults. 7 others were treated on the scene, but their injuries were not extensive enough to be taken to hospital. But overall, just a horribly devastating incident. And, you know, like the impact here is quite deep. You know, we heard from a mother that spoke to to the Canadian press that said that her son was actually there during that incident. And she just said how traumatized he was. A teacher had come and fought off the animal, taking what she said was the brunt of some of these violent injuries, which you could just imagine how, heart-wrenching and devastating that is for a group of school-aged children to see, other teachers to see. I mean,
grades 4 to 5, so we're talking
exactly.
about 9, 10-year-olds, very young children. And some of these teachers there, and as we heard the conservation officers say, they were well prepared. They had the bear banger, they had the pepper spray, and a community that's not unfamiliar with bears, right? So do we know more about the bear involved now?
Yeah, well, I mean, that bear is actually still on the loose. Conservation officers were searching overnight for this particular grizzly bear to no avail. So, of course, the search continues today. But the Conservation Service actually today said that this particular bear looks like it had some kind of injuries that it was dealing with. They did not specify whether or not that was something to be notable in terms of why this occurred, because it does seem, unprovoked, unprecedented that this bear kind of just came out of the forest to then attack this group of kids who presumably are, loud and rambunctious, group of, say 9, 10-year-olds. So a bit of a mystery there, and obviously the investigation still goes on in terms of what exactly happened and why this particular grizzly bear acted the way that it did.
Absolutely. We are waiting for those details, and the Newhawk First Nation is speaking right now. Let's take you there to that press conference.
The wellness of our families that have been affected by this. I just no, that's where our focus is on. I think like I'm saying that we've lived in harmony for years. I can't see it any other way. I think, but to tell you the truth, that is it. Our focus is on our community and on community wellness and getting everybody back to a healthy life.
For those who are not familiar with the community, can you talk a little bit about how tight-knit it is?
How
Tight-knit, how close, because it's such a small community, but for those who aren't familiar with it.
Oh, I love that question. I think that like over these last few days and every time, even like if there's somebody that gets lost or there's we have search and rescue, we have RCMP, we have everybody steps up to the plate. And our guardian watchmen, they're called upon quite often, in situations that most people wouldn't go into. Like you talk about people like firemen that they're the ones that are going into a burning place while other people are running from it. That's our guardian watchman, but bringing everybody together in these situations, I think I would almost say thrive on a situation like that. Like we come together so good that it's beautiful, and it brings you so much pride. It's so much pride in your soul, and you feel it. And everybody around you, like everybody has a task and everybody has a job, but it's beautiful if you ever come to a community like this and you witness it firsthand. You witness the work that goes on between us. We all know our roles, and we do it very well. And I think that there's no egos. All egos are left at the door. It's about the victim or about what the task at hand.
What do you want to share with the family?
It's absolutely amazing. And even within the Conservation Officer Service, the amount of support, emails, text, and the offers to help down here that have come out is absolutely amazing. So it's not just the community, but it's the whole outline within the province that is coming together and recognizing what's going on here.
Has the bear been located?
No. No.
So the search continues?
The search continues, yes. We've got several traps out right now. We're preparing to set out a whole bunch of cameras. And the biggest message is just if we can get people to stay out of the area, then we don't want to get the bears necessary to leave, but we just want to establish what's going on in the area. And they'll act more naturally if nobody is in the area disturbing them.
Do you have any sense of what kind of bear we're looking for here? We know the species, but are we looking at a male, female with cubs? Any intel on that?
We're still working on that right now.
And what is the area that you're advising people to stay out of while you try to trap a bear?
It's mostly by the 4 Mile area, between the 4 Mile area and the Bella Coola River. And within probably a kilometer of either direction, that's the area we'd really like people to stay out of. Of course, it's the fall, there's lots of bears in the area, so the whole job is to establish which ones were perhaps the culprits and exactly what's going on in the area, and that's going to come through the camera traps and the interviews that we're doing.
I think you might address this, but is there anything you can speak to as to a theory of why the attack happened? Do you have anything on that, or is it too soon for that? No, nothing on that right now. We're still working to figure out exactly what went on that through the interviews and statements and scene investigations. So. What's been the general backdrop here in the Bella Coola Valley this fall with respect to the grizzly bear population? Have they had enough of their natural food? That they've been able to eat enough? Have they been pestering? Are you able to speak at all to the larger context of what's been going on with bear-human interaction here in the past couple of
I'm
months?
afraid I can't speak to that's more of a biologist question. So.
Is it one bear or maybe more than one bear involved?
We're still working to figure that one out. There's a lot of evidence to sort through as far as the scene investigation goes and the interviews and statements, and we're still in the midst of that, so I'd like to keep it at that for now.
We believe we have a situation here. We're obviously going to wait for the details as they come out, but so far we've heard that there's at least one individual, a teacher, who fought back, tried to protect the students. You're an expert, subject matter expert of a sort, given what you do. What is that like to try to fight off a grizzly bear who's attacking you? Are you able to say anything about the strength you have to muster to do something like that?
I'm afraid I've never been in that situation, so I don't know. That's a tough question. I'm sorry, I really couldn't give an answer on that. That's kind of an opinion thing, so stay away from that one.
Okay, so just to confirm, is there reason to believe that there was more than one bear involved in this attack?
We don't know yet. We're still, like I said, we're working through that. It's Bella Coola. There's a lot of bears down here. So until we have really definitive evidence to point in one direction or another, it wouldn't be fair to make that statement.
You have traps out. You want to try to locate and trap the bear.
Yes.
Should we understand it's the intention ultimately the bear is going to be destroyed when you are confident that you have the right bear? Is that going to be the case, or not necessarily at this point?
Right now, the traps are set to try and locate a bear. If we're able to locate a bear, we would have to make that assessment on the time, and that's based on a lot of the factors that come in. We haven't made that decision yet, and we will continue to speak with the nation and figure out what the facts are exactly, and then that decision will be made at that time. But nothing is in stone at this time.
What is your level of concern about the fact that the bear is still out there, that it hasn't been located?
It's an elevated risk factor. That's why we've asked people to stay out of the way area as well. There's a safety factor just being in that area. That being said, it is Bella Coola. There are a lot of bears, so there's always a heightened risk or a heightened awareness factor down here. The fact that this incident has occurred, I think, heightens that, and everyone should be aware of that and taking measures. But it is what it is right now.
Any message to people in the region who might have a hunting background and be looking at this and take matters into their own situations? If they think they see the bear, what's your advisement on that?
Again, we're just asking people to stay out of the area so that we can do our job. We have the tools in place and the means to deal with anything that we come across in there. But when people are in there, they disturb the bears. It can make our situation very difficult. Also, we don't need people in there. It's a very thick country. You know, trying to dispatch bears shooting, it's not necessarily safe to be doing so. So if people would just stay out of the area, let us do our job, we would appreciate it, and that'll allow us to hopefully get to the fastest and most effective end to the situation.
I also think that you know, I wouldn't want anybody doing that. I know that you know, the message even from our table is that definitely we don't want that. I think that they could be putting other people in danger. You know, I know, yeah, we definitely do not want that, and we have a good grasp on it right now. There's a plan in place, and we want to stick to that plan, and we don't want to put anybody in danger, and yeah.
Yeah, if anything does occur, anyone is found in there, there will be an investigation, and we'll see where that takes us. So we'd just like people to stay out of
Saying
there.
before there's so many bears in the area, how do you go about telling which bear or bears was involved?
Well, that's what the statements, the interviews, the scene inspection is going to hopefully reveal for us, at least to give us some way to move forward with that. It's yeah, it's still in the works at this moment, so doing the best we can.
Is it true that you believe that the bear was injured before the attack? I saw that somewhere, but I'm not sure.
There is some information that there is an injured bear in the valley. Whether or not it was involved, we're still working to figure that all out.
Just in terms of, I know you're not a bear expert, you can say, but you know about this area of the bears. How far are we from where we would expect these bears would be hibernating? We're pretty close to that point, aren't we?
You mean hibernating in time frames?
Yeah, for the winter.
Okay.
Danning for the winter. That's coming soon, isn't it?
Again, I'm not a biologist, but historically from the reports that we do get in, human-wildlife conflict reports, generally around December 1st, we do see a slowdown in bear sightings.
Has the salmon runs that they're usually feeding on heavily earlier in the fall, is that still going on, or is that mostly petered out?
I'm afraid I don't know the answer to that question yet. It's out of my realm.
So does this effectively only give you like 10, 15 days to sort of work out which bears are involved before they just wander off and sleep for the winter?
Sorry, I can't quite see you through the bright light.
So does this mean that you've effectively got 10 to 15 days before the bears that you're looking at or wander off and go to sleep for the winter?
Again, that's a difficult question. We really don't know. There's lots of situational factors that could influence when and where bears hibernate. So, you know, that's why I want to get the cameras out there as soon as we can and get them working and try to establish some patterns or what's going on in that area.
Apologies if I missed this, but do we know the ages of the people who were injured?
Sorry, I don't know that.
I just want to speak a little bit to the community supports that we have available. My name is Kirsten Milton, elected council. Leadership has been meeting for the last 24 hours to coordinate our efforts onto how we're addressing our incident. We have set up many areas in the valley for cultural support and brushing, clinical counseling one-on-one. We've called in additional support through Vancouver Coastal Health, First Nations Health Authority, Indian Residential School Survivor Society to come and give us clinical counseling support and traditional support to help our students, our family, our staff, and the community members to work through this situation. Right now, we are offering counseling support at our youth center as well as at our Exalta school, just to provide that additional support to the families. We've come together really quickly as a community with supports from all of our partnerships in the Valley, and we're really grateful for that outreach that has come to everybody at the leadership table. It's been a little bit difficult to coordinate some of the questions and some of the concerns and some of the messages that have come through, so we're grateful for your outreach. So we just wanted to make sure that that was aware to the community. We are also putting out our own community communications so that they know where to go for that additional support. So we just want to say thank you to the families, to the people that were directly impacted by this event. We have some amazing heroes that were there that day, and we want to make sure that when they return to our community that we are uplifting the work that they did to save our children. And so we just want to share that message out and thank everybody here that has supported the efforts that we've had to make and come together in the last few hours. Thank you.
Sorry, I'll just ask again, can anyone share information of the ages of the children or what grade they were in?
No, we're not sure exactly there. We just know that there was a grade that was out on a land-based healing activity. And again, like Chief Sam said, you know, we live in harmony with the bears here. Our staff, our students, our children, our youth, we're all very well aware of how to walk in our bear territory. This was just an unprecedented event that we have never experienced. And so all we're trying to do now is focus on the well-being of our children and making sure that they have the supports that they need. This is very traumatizing, not only for the students involved, but for their friends, their family members, our community members who don't live in New Hawk territory. We're just wanting to make sure that they're well aware of the efforts that we have put together in the last few hours.
When you speak of the heroes in this, how many are we talking about? We've got one teacher in particular. How many adults got involved to protect the kids here?
Again, we're not sure of all the specific details. You know, our first responders do a really well job about maintaining the space when there's an incident. They make sure that only those that need to be there, our CMP, conservation officers, ambulance, are right at the site. So we don't have any details that we can speak to of who was all involved. Once they are in a stable condition, we will make sure that we are returning back around to figure out who those people are. There's many stories going around. Again, it was a very traumatic event. So to be able to capture those stories is something that we will wait when they are ready to speak to their experience.
Okay. And can you just, I know some of this has been reported, but just while we have you now, what was the school event that was going on when this happened?
Just day-to-day activities, you know, this is our independent
You're listening
band
and
school.
watching CBC News BC. That is a live press conference in Bella Coola with the New Hawk First Nation. They are giving an update on what happened with the grizzly bear attack yesterday afternoon that left 4 people injured, among them children, school-age children between ages in grades 4 and 5. They were on a field trip when a grizzly bear attacked. 2 people are in critical condition. We still don't have an update on their ages. And you heard New Hawk First Nation leaders as well as BC conservation officers speak and RCMP as well, answering media questions. We are now also awaiting another press conference that is about to get started very shortly. This is with the Minister of Environment, Tamara Davidson, as well as BC conservation officer. And they have just begun speaking. So let's go to that.
I think I'll avoid that question for now.
For the bravery shown by those who acted quickly to protect others. I want to recognize the teachers who took great risk to protect their students. Their actions deserve our deepest respect and gratitude. They were well prepared and they are the true heroes. There are a lot of people who came together to help them. We're holding the victims and their families with deep care and hoping that they find healing and comfort in the coming days. The BC Conservation Officer Service remains in the area and is actively searching. Conservation officers from the community, as well as additional officers from off-island, are on site attempting to locate the bear. We understand that this is a very distressing time for the community. To ensure the safety of the community members, we are asking that everyone please stay indoors. Conservation officers who were able to respond quickly They are doing the important work of trying to locate the bear. I want to thank those involved in the response, including first responders, RCMP, BC Ambulance Service, and of course, the BC Conservation Officer Service. I would also like to thank the healthcare workers at Vancouver Coastal Health who are now caring for the victims involved. We know that this is a distressing time for the New Hulk Nation. The New Hulk Nation has shown remarkable leadership and care for their community. They're providing supports, food, and smudging at the youth center for anyone who needs it. I know this community well, and I've seen firsthand the strength that care can define it. We've also been in contact with the local school district. Staff in the Ministry of Education and Childcare have met with the nation this morning to offer crisis, trauma, and safety supports. As well, ministry staff remain in constant contact with the school district. We know that it is a small community and many are impacted by this event. I will now turn it over to Inspector Kevin Van Damme from the Conservation Service, who can provide more information about the ongoing efforts to locate the bear.
CWS can confirm at this time that during a school outing, the group had stopped along a trail near the community where the grizzly bear, a single grizzly bear, emerged from the forest and attacked. The teachers put themselves in harm's way to protect the children. They successfully repelled bear spray and used bear spray and bear bangers to ward off the bear. 8 conservation officers have been deployed to the site.
You are watching and listening to CBC News BC. I am Leanne Young. This is special coverage of the grizzly bear attack that happened yesterday in Bella Coola that left several people injured, school-age children. We are going to a press conference right now with the province, and this is Conservation Officer Kevin Van Damme speaking about the latest information.
We are doing our best to locate this bear and to capture it. We will continue to provide updates to both the media and the community. Our thoughts are really with the family, the victims, and we really hope that there's a speedy recovery for all involved.
Thank you, Inspector Van Damme.
Thank you. We are going to start with the media Q&A session now. For media on the phone, if you have a question, please come off your speakerphone or Bluetooth. Take your phone off mute. You are not audible until your name is called. Then press *1 to enter the queue for a question and a follow-up. Media in the room, I will come to you for a question and a follow-up as well. We are going to start in the room with Jonah Balan, CBC.
Good afternoon, Mr. So has this attack and the several others that preceded it prompted any considerations from the government to lift the ban on hunting grizzlies?
Thanks for that question. You know, anytime that there's a conflict with wildlife, with bears, it's a really strong reminder that we need to remember that we are outdoors and we're sharing the outdoors with wildlife. Right now, our focus is really on finding the bear that was involved in this attack. This is an ongoing live situation where the bear is still at large and the community doesn't feel safe. And the RCMP and the Conservation Officer Service is working closely to try to locate the bear.
So to clarify, no considerations just yet?
Not at this time.
Okay. And a follow-up question. The BC Wildlife Federation put out a statement saying conflicts with grizzlies are bound to rise. What is your response to that?
Yeah, I would say that what we're really looking for is to make sure that people are really aware of their surroundings when they're out in the outdoors, and then also making sure that they don't have any attractants that are in their yards or that they're bringing with them when they're out on the trail. I think the teachers in this incident, they were well prepared. They had bear spray, they had bear bangers, and they were the real heroes in this situation. And the community continues to want to protect the students and the teachers.
Thank you, Minister.
Hi. Thanks for taking my question. My name is Nono Shen, and I'm a reporter from the Canadian Press. And I have a question for Kevin. I know your team has spent so many hours whole night and working on the ground. And could you please tell me more about the bear? Was it a mother bear with 2 cubs? Its gender and anything about that? And has it been previously involved in other attacks in the community? Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Could you take that answer?
Yes, thanks, Minister. Yeah, so our officers are, did work throughout the night. We have traps that are set in the area. We're currently doing all that fact-finding information that's critical in an investigation like this. There are several witnesses, so we're currently asking questions of witnesses and exactly what they saw and trying to get the details in the bear description. We don't know the details as to whether or not this bear has been in conflict in the past. We are trying to get all of those answers, and once we have our investigation concluded, we'll be able to report back to the community and to the media.
Thank you. And I have another follow-up is, I'm very curious. I wonder, based on your experience as a conservation officer, do you think bear attack like this in Bella Coola is unusual? And what could set off a bear attack like this? Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for the question. Well, I can tell you that in my 34 years of experience, I have not seen an attack like this with a large group of people. So this is extremely rare. And I think the public needs to understand that part. We are trying to determine the behavior and why the bear acted in the way it did. Thankfully, the teachers were prepared. They did everything they needed to do, and really they avoided serious injury to others. I know some people were seriously injured, but they definitely avoided worse injuries.
Thank you. We are going to the phones now, starting with Mary Griffin, Check News.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much for taking my call. I'm just wondering about a few details about specifically what the students were doing at the time of the attack. How many students were there and teachers, and how far away from the school was this? And was this on the old trail where this took place?
Thank you so much for the question. There was approximately 20 people that were involved, and we know that there was 4 people who were injured and up to 11 that were seen by medical professionals. And at this time, 4 patients remain in the hospital. And I can understand that people's desire to get more information, but at this time we just don't have all the information that we need until we can locate the bear and find out more about what's happening. As you can imagine, it's a very traumatic event for this community, and it's happening in real time. We will be providing updates as they come in.
Mary, did you have a follow-up?
I did. Just for Kevin, earlier today you posted a video where you said that there was some, that the bear had, that it had been suggested that the bear may have been previously injured.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Thanks for that. So we do have information. We don't know. We believe a bear has been injured in the community, but we don't know that is the offending bear in this case. So we are ongoing in our investigation and trying to determine that wounded bear may not be in the community anymore. We're just not certain at this time.
Hager, Globe and Mail.
For taking our questions. Have you received tips from the community of sightings of the bear, and can you give people a sense of how far the bear may have traveled? Like how big an area are your officers now searching?
It's a difficult question to answer. as we can appreciate, the Bella Coola Valley is home to many grizzly bears. And I know firsthand this because I spent 2 weeks there this fall. I spoke with many community members about grizzly bears, and there are a number of grizzly bears that frequent neighborhoods and they coexist with the community. The New Hawk Nation is well versed with coexisting with grizzly bears. So it's hard to know exactly where this bear traveled to, which bear it is. And so those are the steps that we're taking in our detailed investigation. We will use forensics if needed to match the offending bear, the bear that was involved, with any bears that we capture. And we'll determine the health of the bears that we capture as well. So at this time, that's about all we can share, because we just don't have all those answers yet.
Bob.
Yes. Okay. And can you just explain what type of biological evidence you've collected? Like, is it clumps of hair? And did the teachers injure the bear in their fight to kind of save themselves and the students?
Yeah, our investigation is ongoing, and we're working towards finding out answers. And it's there's a process to it, and we're taking statements and we're talking with folks. We haven't completed all of those steps yet, so I don't want to prejudge anything that we've started to collect this time.
Our next question is from Hannah Ziegler, New York Times.
Hi, thank you so much for taking questions. I'm wondering, I know y'all had said that this is an extremely rare attack to have this many people be targeted by a bear. I'm just wondering, in the last several months or so, has activity with bears ramped up in this region? Has it been a particularly active time? Just any kind of further context about how things have been looking recently.
Yeah, okay. So what I can share is that conflicts arise from an individual animal, and individual animals have learned behavior as they're seeking out food. And at this time of year, that's what bears, they're trying to get enough fat reserves to hibernate. So conflicts at times can increase, and it could be as a result of one individual bear. It's not necessarily generic across the board with all the bears in the area. So one individual bear could increase conflicts in the Bella Coola Valley. This year, we had a couple individual bears who had more identified conflicts and were interacting with more individual people than we have had in the past number of years. So it's difficult to say if it's there's no trend involved here. It's just an individual animal that increases conflicts.
Gotcha. Thank you. That's super helpful. And then also, I know y'all said about 20 people total, and that there were multiple teachers involved in kind of fending off the bear. Are you able to confirm how many teachers were on site and how many were involved in this kind of fight?
Question. At this time, we still have an active investigation, and as Inspector Van Damme said, we're still gathering that information. We're taking witness statements, and we're also ensuring that the investigation is ongoing and continues. So at this time, we're not able to confirm that.
That's all the questions we have for today. Thanks everyone for joining. Minister, do you have some few words?
Say I send my heart out to the community, the New Hawk Nation. I was there this summer and met with the elders and the chiefs and the families, and my heart goes out to the patients that are still remaining in hospital, and I hope that they make a speedy recovery.
Thank you.
You were just listening and watching a live press conference with Tamara Davidson, the Minister of Environment and Parks, as well as BC Conservation Officer Kevin Van Damme. They were giving an update on the grizzly bear attack that happened in Bella Coola. This was yesterday afternoon. It left 11 people injured, 4 of them seriously injured, 2 in critical condition. 4 people still remain in hospital, and among them, school-aged children between grades 4 and 5. They were out for a field trip. They were near a trail when they were having lunch, and this grizzly bear emerged from the bush and attacked them, praising the heroic acts of the teacher who fought off the bear. That was the minister there. So just before that, you were watching another press conference. That was with the Newhawk First Nation. That was in Bella Coola. That happened at 1:30 this afternoon, and we heard from elected chief Samuel Schooner. He talked about what it was like living in that community, a tight-knit community that is devastated by this incident, and they are used to living with bears. We also heard from another conservation officer in Bella Coola, Sergeant Jeff Tyre. He had lots of questions from media about bear situation out there, and we also heard from elected council Kirsten Melton, and she talked about the supports being made available to everyone affected. And she did not have much more information about the ages of the kids, and officials saying at this point they're still trying to gather information, of course, keeping some of the privacy of those individuals. In studio with me is our Jessica Chung, who's been following the story all morning, and you have been listening to both these press conferences as well. So, Jessica, what stood out to you from listening to that today?
Yeah, lots of, a lot of people weighing in here. I think what really stood out for me is how extremely rare something like this is. And we just heard Kevin Van Damme, which is with the BC Conservation Officer Service, saying that in his 34 years of experience, he has not seen an attack like this with this large of a group. There are around 20 people in this group, students and teachers. And he just said how extremely rare this is. And this was a kind of a message that we heard throughout. Tamara Davidson also said how rare this is. Even in the press conference in Bella Coola, Samuel Schooner, the elected chief, also said how unprecedented this is. He's called this unprecedented, this unprovoked attack, because he said, his community, they're
used
live
to bears,
among
right?
bears.
And I believe he used the words they live in harmony with bears, right?
In harmony.
So Bella Coola is not unfamiliar with bears.
Absolutely.
That was certainly very interesting. And, we've also heard some response since then about the grizzly bear ban, the grizzly bear hunting ban that has been in place in BC since 2017. Questions were being asked of the minister, Tamara Davidson, whether, there's considerations around lifting that. And she says at this point, it's too soon to tell. Conservation officers saying that they're still trying to gather information about that.
Yeah, so much investigation needs to be going on. They said that they're putting up traps there, and so they want to be not only trapping, they're looking to trap the actual grizzly bear that was involved in this incident, right? But they're putting up cameras to see just the behavior of the grizzly bears in that valley, and hopefully getting some answers about why this animal did what it did. Because under these circumstances, another thing that, kind of echoed throughout the whole press conference is that this group did everything right. They came, they knew how to kind of be in those lands. They knew the risks of the grizzly bears. They had the bear spray, they had the bear banger. And even so, this still happens. So, lots of questions about that.
Yes, very traumatizing for the young children that were involved. But again, like you said, like these officials said, that community is familiar with bears. This is, we're talking about Bella Coola. This is not a major city. This is a small, remote area of town. So, lots of questions were also being asked around theories around what may have motivated the bear to do this. And officials didn't really have any answers at this point.
Not a lot of answers. Yeah, they're pretty tight-lipped about that. And, I guess you can understand the amount of information that they're getting. They said they're not even done kind of talking to witnesses and people who were involved, even just for information on that, bear descriptors, what exactly happened. They're saying that there's a lot of information there. There's a lot to sift through, and they're not making any kind of speculations, any assumptions here, really. So.
Okay. All right. That's it for us today. Thank you for watching this special coverage of the grizzly bear attack. I'm Leanne Young. Thanks for watching.